I told them over a glass of wine that I'd never been partnered.
Oh.
And so they were like, let's go to the store
Yes.
and buy you your first. That experience really stayed with me. There's got to be a better way. Why is this whole experience something to be laughed at and
Totally.
to be embarrassed about or shamed for when it's such a natural part of life?
You are the founder of Libido, an Australian-born wellness brand. It is so beautiful. It's something that you actually want to have on your bedside table.
Sadly, my mum passed away from cancer, and I'd really felt like I'd lost that safe space.
Right.
Yeah, so part of me wanting to start Libido was really creating that safe space for other people to come and learn about their bodies and to receive the right thorough and inclusive sex education. I was like, is there something wrong with me that I don't feel in the mood, or that I'm not like constantly or instantly aroused like I've seen in movies and TV, where you see women turned on like straight away and they can and
Yeah,
you know,
that
and
is unfortunately a huge misconception that we have.
it's those moments
Yes.
where I'm like, this is so much bigger than me. This is so much bigger than me starting in my bedroom at home in the middle of lockdown. Like, this is powerful and it's actually changing people's lives.
Of course. Welcome to Lesson Translation, the podcast where desire gets decoded. I'm your host, sexologist Natassia Miller, and there's one thing before we begin. If you hit follow wherever you listen to our podcast, it will help us grow and bring you even better guests and conversations. It takes 2 seconds, it's free, and it means the world. Now let's get into it. All right, Rachel Baker, welcome to Lesson Translation.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here. I'm really excited for this chat with you.
Yeah, same. You are the founder of Libido, an Australian-born sexual wellness brand. And I remember when you launched, seeing all of your products and thinking, it is so beautiful. It's something that you actually want to have on your bedside table. And I really love this new phase of the sexual wellness industry, because we grew up during the time where it was only CD sex shops and like very phallic forward toys.
Yes, definitely. You're speaking my language. I remember my first experience of going into a sex store and it just being this overwhelming experience of phallic, bright pink and bright purple products staring back at me and just being so confused. Like, how is this what's available right now? Like, these are products that have been designed by men for the male gaze.
Totally.
I remember this old man watching me browse and it just being such a confusing
yeah.
experience, and it also being something that was almost a joke. Like, I was there with my girlfriends. I'd actually gone there because I told them over a glass of wine that I'd never orgasmed from partnered sex.
Ah,
And so they were like, let's go to a sex store
Yes.
and buy you your first vibrator. And
such great friends.
great friends. I'm like, yes, hold on to them dearly. But that experience really stayed with me because I was just like, there's got to be a better way. Why is this whole experience something to be laughed at and
Totally.
to be embarrassed about or shamed for when it's such a natural part of life?
It's such a private moment. And for a lot of people, there's just such a big obstacle for you to put yourself out there and drive to a sex shop and like walk in with your friends. And so it's really lovely that today you can, order and receive your products at home. And also nicer sex shops have, come about ever since that really make it feel so much more of like a wellness experience rather than a taboo one.
Absolutely. And even the education side of things, like it's so important to have the education alongside the beautiful products and to teach people how to actually use them. I think when products look really tacky or phallic or something that you're embarrassed about, that you want to hide at the bottom of your drawer, it perpetuates this message that it's something to be shamed for.
Oh, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so when I created Libido, I wanted our products to be beautiful, to be something you'd be proud to leave on your nightstand, something that you look at that actually reflects your own personal experience of pleasure, which is something that's intimate and vulnerable and unique to you, and something that you should be proud to prioritize.
Certainly.
Yeah.
I love that you brought up education. And when people find out that I'm a sexologist, one of the first questions that come up is like, how did I get here? Because they often wonder actually what happened in my childhood that led to my career as a sexologist. So I know when we met, you mentioned that your mother was a couples therapist. And I'm wondering, how was your upbringing and the messaging that you received around sexuality and relationships?
Yeah, I think the main messaging that I received, especially from my mum, is that none of this is something to be ashamed of. My mum was a doctor who later went on to practice as a couples therapist and a family therapist. And she had always created this really non judgmental space for me and my siblings and even my friends to ask questions that were seemingly more taboo. I remember going to her when I had a pregnancy scare. I was in my
Ah,
late teens and I was terrified. I was like, what am I going to do? What is she going to say? I didn't even want to tell her. And the way she responded was just, it instantly eased my anxiety. She was just like, this is the information, these are your options. Like, there's no shame here, and I will support you through this. And it's those experiences that really shape who you become and how you relate to your own like body and the way you relate to pleasure really. And similarly, when I got my period in my early teens, she just was so helpful and informative and created this like supportive space. And so that was really different to what I had learnt at school because my school education was entirely risk based. It was all about protection and pregnancy and just what not to do. There was nothing about desire or pleasure,
pleasure.
anatomy, relationships, like
Yes.
LGBTQIA plus issues. It was all fear based.
Right.
Yeah. And
It's like if you have sex, you're gonna get pregnant and you're gonna die.
literally, yeah, which is such a crazy thought now, like being pregnant and you spend your whole life being like, I don't want to fall pregnant, to then finally when you're starting to try, you're like, wait, I need
It's
to
much
flip this
harder
whole
than
narrative. Like I haven't learned about this. But anyway,
I
there
do
was,
just wanna give
yes,
people, background because you're from Melbourne,
yes,
Australia.
I
Okay,
am.
and so what is sex education like? Because I'm assuming that it's similar to the United States then, where is there an abstinence-only focused education, or does it vary by city or state?
So it actually varies by school, really. It
Okay.
depends on like your teacher and the curriculum. There's no real set guidelines around it. It's changed now, but at the time, there was nothing really like set in the curriculum around sex education. It was really these like fill-in teachers that would come and just step in to try and teach it. None of them had like sexology backgrounds or
None of them
they
were
were just
Gillian Anderson for sex education.
none at all. And so it was like how to put a condom on a banana. Like it
Oh, I
was just
remember.
so
I
it
remember
was
the images of, like, chlamydia and gonorrhea and
yes, yeah. Yeah, and luckily it's like changed now and it's evolved, but I had to do a lot of my own research and even in a progressive household, like there were still so many gaps in my knowledge.
Right.
Sadly, my mum passed away from cancer, an aggressive form of stomach cancer, 10 years ago. She was in her early 50s and I was just turned 23 at the time. And I'd really felt like I'd lost that safe space
Right.
at home, especially to go and ask her questions. And yeah, so part of me wanting to start Libido was really creating that safe space for other people to come and learn about their bodies and to receive the right thorough and inclusive sex education, but just to feel like they didn't have to be judged
Of
for
course.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love that your mom established that dialogue with you where you felt safe because I often get asked from parents, how do I talk about sex education with my kids? And, most of us never received any, right? So it can feel really daunting. And one of the main messages that I give is it's not to have one big talk, but to
Mm.
have that series of talks. And that is what my mom did with me as well, which I found really beneficial to make me feel more comfortable talking about sex. She actually read a book to me when I was around 4 or 5 called Where Do I Come From by Peter Mayle.
Oh,
It's
wow.
supposed to be like a really well-known book for kids, but I went onto Amazon to see the reviews. And, it's like it really divides people because some people are like, you should only read this to your kids when they're like 8 or 9 years old. And my mom was like, you were asking way too many questions about that.
Yeah,
You were like
just
so
like
precocious. I just had to read this to you.
but you were meant to be a sexologist
Yeah.
then. Yeah. I might look into that book because I'm, thinking
Yes.
about my future child now. I'm like, how am I going to go
It's
about
it's
those
so cute.
conversations?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that you said it's not just one conversation, which is kind of what we've been told all our life. It's really an ongoing and making sure it's age appropriate information. And
Exactly.
yeah.
So was your idea, that first seed planted for libido, back in your early 20s, or did it really start like building out? Tell me about that process.
It wasn't just one specific moment. I can't pinpoint a moment where I was like, I'm starting this. It was more
Yeah.
this accumulation of things. So I'd studied business and psychology at university. So I'd always been
I
fascinated.
think that's a great dual degree.
Yeah, it really complementary
Yeah.
because, I mean, in business, you really need to understand people. I've always been fascinated
Certainly.
with the way we relate to the world. And business has always interested me as well. My family, we have a lot of entrepreneurs in the family. And then my experience of in my 20s going to that sex store, that always stayed with me as well. But I'd always spent my career in and out of the beauty and wellness industry. So I was
Mhm.
working at L'Oreal at the time and
In
just
PR.
in PR, yes. And I just remember being exposed to the whole world of beauty and noticing that every other category in beauty had had its own version of a makeover,
Yeah.
from the quality of the ingredients that were used to the high-end design principles of packaging. It was all really considered and elevated and intentional
Mhm.
across fragrance and skincare and makeup and nutrition, but sexual wellness was still stuck. It was still really that outdated approach to it,
Right.
like we spoke about, like it's for the male gaze. And I just saw an opportunity to create something that was so much more intentional. And it's like, these are the products you're putting on your most intimate parts of your body. How are we still putting these nasty ingredients there? And it's causing yeast infections. Or for me, it was at the time. I was like,
Yeah.
there's an opportunity here to create a brand with products that take those elements from the beauty and wellness category and give the sexual wellness the same love and energy that it deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. And you actually launched during COVID. So you left your job at L'Oreal in early COVID, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
And
that's
then
correct.
you, like, what made you decide that
That
in the most
moment?
chaotic and
Yeah.
unpredictable moment of human history
I know.
is when you're going to launch a sexual wellness brand, which, by the way, I mean, I take my hat off to you because we know how hard it is to build a direct-to-consumer brand and to scale, especially in our industry where it is censored.
Oh, completely. There's so many barriers and there's so many reasons not to do it. I think a lot of the best businesses were born during that time in
Yeah.
COVID. We had so much more time on our hands, more time for self-pleasure, more time to research and explore. And I really just sat with what I wanted to do and where I saw my life going. And I just felt like now I do have the time to work on this. I was actually still at L'Oreal when I launched. I hadn't yet quit. And I just decided it was now or never. And I kind of went all in from the get-go. I was a bit naive in the best way. Like I think
Right.
right now, 5 years later, I'm like, there might be like more things I would overthink. Whereas then I was just like, I'm doing it. At the time, I really felt like this trailblazer, especially in Australia. Like we're such, it's small community there, and my school was quite conservative, and there was probably a lot of judgment that I wasn't even aware of. And
Right.
I feel yeah, I think now the conversation has evolved and there's so many incredible brands, which has been so amazing to see all these female founded brands pop up. But at the time I was like,
You
I'm a
you
risk.
felt alone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
felt alone
You're
and
a pioneer.
but I from the get-go was like, I am gonna make this work. Like I'm taking such a risk here and I'm really putting like my everything on the line
Of
here
course.
to do something that is really taboo and scary that I'm like, there's no going back. I'm making this work. And it was something I'm so passionate about. So that really came through
Yeah.
from the beginning.
I hear you on not understanding how your business is going to be received because I also was worried about the judgment that could come. I grew up in Brazil and people always sexualize Brazilians, but it is a very Catholic country.
Mm.
And my school, people are quite conservative. And so for a long time, it really was hard for me to own the like marketing and like being out there. I mean, I remember when I launched Wonderlust, I had to go to TikTok in order to start distributing, my product. I needed to
Yeah.
like somehow sell it. And I'm talking about relationship and sex education. And I chose TikTok because nobody knew me there.
I can be anonymous. Little did you know you were gonna go viral.
I know. But ever since, I mean, today I don't mind and everybody's used to it. But it's funny how we end up grappling a little bit with that like sense of that fear of judgment.
Absolutely, and I think
Yeah.
that's across I mean, that's life, really,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever you do when you put yourself out there, you expose yourself to judgment, but I was just
It was
embracing
worth
it, and it
it.
was worth it. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So Australia is a smaller market than the US, but it's known for creating these cult direct to consumer brands that go global. You recently just expanded Libido to the United States. I know that you're also in Europe. This is really exciting. This is great news for us. I remember like when you launched thinking I would love to get my hands on these products. So, I'm just wondering what was the reaction from the Australian market when you first launched?
Australians are both really open and also quite conservative.
Yeah.
I think similarly to the US market as well. But from the get go, it was received so positively, which was such a relief. I think everyone was craving
Mm.
a brand, and especially a local Australian
An
brand,
elevated
and an
brand
elevated
too.
brand that really saw them and spoke to them, that was female founded. And we highlight native Australian ingredients in our products as well. So our lubricant and our massage oil have these
Oh.
beautiful Australian botanical ingredients in them. And yeah, from the get go, it was like there was no
Is it
shame.
Kakadu plume and Kwandong?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, kakadu palm
amazing.
kwandong. These are native Australian ingredients that have grown in Australia's backyard for over 50,000 years. They have amazing health benefits to them, really hydrating ingredients. But yeah, I think I was so pleasantly surprised. Australian women are really just I mean, we're like no nonsense. We don't like to be spoken down to.
Right.
We just want to know it how it is. And I think that was really refreshing. But I was really surprised by who our consumers actually were.
Oh, tell me more about that.
I thought when we launched that it would who I was speaking to, I thought was going to be this like 25, 35-year-old, mainly women, really well educated and maybe comfortable speaking about this topic already.
Right.
But what I saw was it was so much broader than that. And it is so much broader than that. We are speaking to people across their whole lifespan, which is so amazing. We're seeing teens who are buying our products for the first time, or mothers
Love
buying
that.
it for their teens as a first vibrator, because it's not intimidating.
Yeah.
It takes the shame out of it. And then we're seeing new
Essential is usually the
the
first,
first one,
point
it's
of
yes,
entry.
this is the essential vibe, and
It's
this
so
is the
beautiful.
OG.
Yeah.
It feels really beautiful in the hand as well, like really, silky smooth silicone as well, and it's got 6 modes to explore, and it's an external vibrator. Great for
External meaning clitoral
clitoral
stimulation.
stimulation, which we love,
Yes.
and it's great for any level of experience. So, yeah, we see a lot of people buying it as their first toy. We also see mums who are feeling touched out and
Right.
trying to reconnect with their bodies, get to know this new version of themselves. They're using our products. We're seeing people in relationships who long-term relationships as well, who have maybe need to like spice things up a little bit and want
Yes.
to bring in toys into the bedroom. We see women in their 60s and even 70s. It's phenomenal. I had this woman tell me who's in her 70s. She left us a review and she said that recently her husband had died and she finally started feeling like herself again after using our products.
Oh,
And
that's so
it was
beautiful.
so beautiful. She literally wrote in her review, she's like, "I've got tears running down my eyes. I want to thank the founder and just say like this product has made me feel like myself again." And she's like, "Read it again. This has made me feel like myself again." Like ladies, like it was really beautiful message. And it's those moments
Yes.
where I'm like, this is so much bigger than me. This is so much bigger than me starting in my bedroom at home in the middle of lockdown. Like this is powerful and it's actually changing people's lives.
Of course. Yeah, you're normalizing access to pleasure and to self-pleasure. And that's one of the things that I first talk about with my clients is, do you self-pleasure? Because giving yourself that gift and also knowing your body very well is where it all begins. Like feeling comfortable with your vulva, knowing exactly the kinds of touch that you enjoy, and then being able to communicate that to your partner is really the foundation for a healthy sex life.
Oh, it changes everything. I also always say, I'm like, it's more detrimental to not talk about sex than to not have sex.
Yeah.
It's like communication is lubrication. It is everything. It is like,
Well, research shows that couples who talk about sex experience greater desire and arousal and more orgasms, better penile function, and less pain during sex,
why
right?
isn't that the first thing we learn at school then? I'm like, that should be the headline. Like, that is everything. And I notice that as well because our libido is in this constant state of flux throughout our lifespan. It's constantly changing, which you know
Yes.
this. And I've experienced that on a personal level as well. Like right now, being pregnant, my libido has disappeared. I'm like, where's she
And that
gone?
that is a spectrum because I do meet pregnant women who are like suddenly,
Yes.
depending on where they are in their pregnancy, their libido spikes, but then some people just feel also a little worried about the discomfort that can come with
Yeah.
having sex during their pregnancy. So it really just varies so much by
It
person.
does. I think it's such a personal thing. And I think one of the things I've learned is how contextual
Yeah.
pleasure is and how much of your environment influences it. So, what's going on, how like safe you feel in your body, how seen you feel by your partner, or what, hormones. I mean, if you're pregnant, for me, it's been like I've lost both my parents to cancer in the
Mm,
last few years.
I'm
So,
so sorry.
like the grief and how that
Mhm.
impacts my libido, but then more recently, just being pregnant. And I think we have this idea that pleasure and arousal is all really spontaneous.
Of course.
And it's like you get this rush out of nowhere and you're
Could
like,
not be
I'm ready
further
to
from the
go. I'm like,
truth.
absolutely not. Like for me and for so many people and women I speak to, especially, pleasure and arousal is much more responsive and the touch and the connection comes before the arousal.
Yes.
As soon as I learnt that, I was like, this changes everything because you don't feel like I was like, is there something wrong with me that I don't feel in the mood or that I'm not like constantly or instantly aroused like I've seen in porn and movies and TV where you see women turned on like straight away and they can orgasm and
Yeah,
and
that is
it's
unfortunately a huge misconception that we have. And
mm,
that's one of the first things that I also educate clients on is the difference between responsive and spontaneous desire. Because for a lot of men, and this is also very much because of the level of testosterone that they have 10 times more testosterone than women do. And it can be so much easier for them to just like flip the switch and be in the mood. And for a lot of women, men also experience this, but it can be very much context dependent. And so when you start understanding what are the situations that make it easier for you to open up and, be in the mood more easily, then that makes all of the difference.
definitely. I mean, Emily Nagoski speaks about that with your brakes and
Yes.
your accelerators. And there's, yeah, I mean, just like trying to turn down the brakes and turn up the accelerators.
Exactly. Well, for those who don't know, there is basically the way that we become aroused is controlled by the dual control model of sexual response. And so, just the way that our nervous system has things that rile us up and that slow us down and relax us, our brain responds to sex in a similar manner. And so you have your accelerators, which are the things that turn you on, and you have your brakes, which are the things that turn you off. And these are all learned throughout your life. And some of us have more sensitive brakes than others. And that can be due to growing up in a more sex negative household, a more religious household, dealing with trauma. And a lot of times we may not realize it, but we can have both of our feet on the accelerators and the brakes. You can be totally turned on by the naked person in front of you and completely petrified that you're not going to be able to hold an erection long enough or you're going to take too long to climax, right? And the magic, so to speak, is when you learn how to take your feet off of the brakes so that you can accelerate more quickly. And that is very much understanding the situations that help you get in the mood more easily and then communicating that to your partner so that, you both work to make this happen more frequently, right?
Definitely. I think stress is such a big one. Stress for me is like
Huge.
the number one break. I'm like,
Huge.
yeah, so just trying to relax the nervous system as well and just try and tap into my body and then try and focus on things that do get me more in the mood, like maybe wearing something like lingerie that makes me feel really good, or a massage, or dimming the lights even in a certain way can make me feel more turned on. Like mood lighting for me is,
Mood lighting makes a
yeah,
big difference.
yeah.
And
And music.
exercise is something that I really enjoy. Music, dancing,
Yes,
anything that makes you
definitely.
feel more embodied, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, tell me a little bit more about what was the process like for, the initial launch collection. And also, I've mentioned this to you, but like Essential looks very different from anything else on the market. And I'm just wondering what the design process was like around it. And it's so ergonomic and easy for you to hold, which is really nice.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, I mean, this was our launch collection. We had a mix of devices and natural lubricant and massage oils and massage candles and bath salts. And I really wanted to take this more holistic approach to sexual wellness. It wasn't just about using a vibrator or having sex, it was
Yeah.
about finding what resonates with you to be able to get more in touch with your body and to make the time to prioritize pleasure. And we know that everyone is on their own journey. And so some people might not feel comfortable starting with a device. So it might be that they run a bath with our aphrodisiac scented bath salts and ease into it there. And maybe they do some education and then they come back to using a device. And so from the get-go, it all started with research. I put out a survey to thousands of people and I asked them, what is it that you want to see in a sex toy? What do you have? What do you like? What do you not like? And the overwhelming feedback was so consistent. People wanted products that looked good, but that also felt really good and worked well anatomically, and it was really efficacious as well. And so that really informed the initial part of the Essential vibe.
Hmm.
I brought together a team of a local artist, an industrial designer, and a sexologist.
Smart.
Yes, you need the sexologist from an anatomy
And an
perspective,
industrial designer
and an
too.
industrial
Yeah.
designer. But everything we do starts with the anatomy.
Hmm.
I think pleasure is really a personal experience and differs across people. I mean, what I like might be different to what you like, but anatomy is pretty consistent. And so we start with anatomy. I think something I learned is about the clitoris. The part that you see of the clitoris is only a fraction of the internal structure.
Yes.
And so understanding that helps us inform where the vibration goes, how it feels in the hand, how it rests along the body. And then we start to layer in the design principles. So my design ethos has always been like art times functionality.
Yes.
And yeah, I wanted it to be products that you would be proud, that look really elevated and beautiful. And having that mix of that team really helps to bring the products to life.
Yes. It really does take a village.
It takes a village. And I also know I'm not the designer, I'm not the sexologist. I've got the vision and I empower you to really like help me, bring this to life.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any like blips that happened in the early days that you had to work around?
Oh, endless. Seriously endless. I mean, every product we put out there takes a lot of time because I'm a perfectionist, but also I don't want to settle for anything that I'm not 100% proud of. So
Yes.
anything that goes to market has so much heart and soul and passion in it, which is why it takes so long often. I mean, the latest device that we launched is Rush, which is our air pulse clitoral stimulator. It comes in this
I
bespoke
love
glass
Rush.
base, and it's nothing like anything on the market. From the get-go, I was like, I want this to be the most beautifully designed product that works really well, but it took us 3 years to make.
That's
And
insane.
yeah, which there was a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of moments where I was like, "Are we even gonna get this out there?" And
What did you find was hard? Like what really took that time that you were trying to adjust?
it was a mix of both elements, the design and the functionality,
Mhm.
different iterations of the technology, just wanting it to make sure it felt really pleasurable.
Yeah.
And then the design, I had this idea that I wanted it to be like 2 bodies coming together. So I wanted the 2 parts to connect together and it to be this place where the stimulator would rest inside the glass base and it to be this like weighted object that
Right.
you could leave out on display alongside your home decor and your fragrance and your skincare,
Which I do.
which, oh, yay. Yeah,
It's
because
really the only one that I leave out, and I have a good story about this. When I went to Brazil in February, I had just received Rush, and so I decided that I was gonna do the unboxing in the hotel. And we had an issue where we had to transfer rooms after a couple of days, and I had, left the charger inside at the bottom of the box. Now, luckily, your box is, quite distinct, and it's large enough so that it's
yeah.
not like a tiny thing that's going to be easily lost. But when I noticed that the box had stayed behind in the other
Oh,
room,
no.
I ran back and I asked them, like, "Did you see this, lilac colored box?" And they said, "Oh, we've already cleaned the room. I'm so sorry." An hour later, somebody from housekeeping knocks on my door and they found the box downstairs.
Oh my
So shout out to Rosewood in Sao Paulo for like a 10/10 customer service. But yeah,
For being
this
invested in your pleasure. They're like, "We've got you."
but I have to say, before trying Rush, I had actually never tried a clitoral stimulator because I have a real eater at home.
Love that. We love that. Well, what do you think of it?
I love
Yeah,
it. Yes.
amazing.
And
Tell me more.
actually, this is one of the anonymous questions that we had received that I think is, ties really beautifully with Rush. I've heard so many people rave about clitoral suction toys, but I'm nervous to try one because I'm worried I'll either feel nothing or get desensitized, and then I won't be able to enjoy sex with my partner. That was actually, I wasn't worried about desensitization, but that is something that I was like, my husband and I have this like sacred lockdown, right? And so the question continues, how do I know if a toy like that is right for me? And how can I start using it in a way that feels gentle and not overwhelming?
Yes, that's such a good question. I think with all sex toys, it's about exploration and discovery and finding out if it feels good for you. And so just starting slow, like maybe not going straight into like the top setting. You could start at the lower setting and just taking the pressure off of
Yeah.
an end goal of orgasm. It's really just about tapping into your body and discovering what feels good for you. I mean, I remember the first time I used our toy, I was like, wow, this is a different experience. It's a slower but more
Build up.
intense build. Yes.
Exactly.
And I was like, this is a whole new dimension. And I think people worry that bringing toys into the bedroom means that there's something wrong or that it's there to like replace, when really it's just there to enhance the experience for both you or your partner or partners.
Absolutely.
And I think the desensitization is a myth. It
No,
doesn't,
I mean, the
yeah.
research shows that even if you feel like you do get desensitized, it's a lot like holding a Theragun
Yes,
and
exactly.
feeling like, yeah, so you end up gaining back whatever sensitivity you have, within the same day.
Yeah.
So it's total. If anything, it's within 30 minutes to an hour if you're worried about it at all. The catch is that when people are only stimulating themselves one way, and so that's what I hear is they're like, I feel like I'm addicted to my vibrator, or it's the only way that I can come. And I ask them, well, if that's the only way that you're masturbating, of course you're going to have a really hard time having orgasms through other forms of stimulation, including with a partner, oral sex, and so forth. So the key is for you to diversify your
Absolutely.
stimulation
Yeah.
and be okay with if you use your fingers, or if you're receiving oral sex, for it to take a little bit longer,
Yeah,
right? It's
definitely.
it's like it's part of the journey to have a variety.
Yeah, and I mean, I look at sexual health and sexual wellness the same way I look at mental health and physical health, and like how I like to have variety across those other aspects of health as well. In my physical health, I love running, but I also love Pilates and yoga. And my mental health, I meditate and I go to therapy. And same with sexual health and wellness. It's not just about using one toy or one product, but it might be using a variety of products or finding what is right for you, whether that's maybe reading erotic fiction or,
Yeah.
maybe watching porn and wearing lingerie or a sexy song or something, that you can just find your own sexual self-care routine and mix it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I want to clarify, because this is a question that I get often, is what is the difference between a vibrator and a suction toy? Like, what in the technology differs?
Is different. We get this question a lot as well. And from the Essential Vibe is your more traditional vibrator.
Yes.
The functionality of it is like pure vibration. So, yeah, you use it on an erogenous zone, something like the clitoris, and it stimulates that nerve ending and feels really good. Whereas the suction or the air pulse stimulator uses air pulse technology. It actually like blows out airs and creates this almost like vacuum suction
Yes.
feeling sensation on the body. And it's just a different
Stimulation. And
yeah.
I love that you mentioned that, because it is like the difference for me was the slower buildup. That was so delicious.
Yeah, it feels so good. And I alternate between them. I'm like,
Me too.
depending on the mood that I'm in, or if I'm using it with Josh, my husband, I'm like, I'll mix it up. And yeah, I think it's just nice to have a variety. But the reception for Rush has been so incredible, especially in the US. We just got named the best design toy by The Strategist and
Oh
New
my
York
gosh,
Magazine and Women's
congrats.
Health. And yeah, the best luxury toy by Marie Claire. So yeah, it's really cool to see this like product that we spent 3 years on.
Of course.
As soon as it launched, I was like, you know what? Even if we don't get a single sale, I'm like, for my own personal like peace of mind, I had to put this product out there. It's something I'm so
That's actually
proud
what
of.
Taylor Swift says about her music.
Really?
Yeah, she's like, if some people don't get it, sometimes it takes years for people to really understand a song. And she says, I don't care. Like,
Yeah,
I did it for
it's
myself because it is like something that gave me so much
oh
pride and
gosh.
joy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's similar.
So you recently launched Loop, which is your penis ring. It is in such a beautiful packaging as well. And what I love about it that I recommend to clients and using it myself with my partner is that at the base, it sits at the base of the penis and it creates that constriction, which leads to better erectile function longer. And at the same time, it stimulates your clitoris,
Yes,
which is
that is correct.
genius.
Exactly. We were hearing we often put out surveys to our community and people wanted couples toys. So this was our first foray into a couple toy, and it creates that dual stimulation. So it feels really good for both people in a experience. And we love playing around with different materials when it comes to the packaging. So Loop comes in this gorgeous silver case that's reflective, and the idea, the design thought behind it was it's like a reflection of your intimate experiences and reflects what reflects pleasure and intimacy back at you. And it actually feels really like heavy in the hand. It's like this weighted pebble, which is almost like one of those massage stones or like
It
for
does.
reducing like stress and anxiety. And it's also
Yeah.
just functionally
It makes it feel very luxurious.
it feels really
Yeah.
luxurious in the hand, and also just is great for travel and just to keep like the dust out of it as well. But it's really fun product for spicing things up in the bedroom and for that dual stimulation.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun.
Oh, yay. So happy to hear that.
Tell me, as you've expanded libido, have there been any moments, like pinch me moments, that really stood out for you?
Pinch me moments from a business perspective, there are many. When I initially launched in lockdown, I was in my bedroom and I got an email from Selfridges in the UK.
Oh, iconic.
Iconic, a really traditionally like conservative department store. And they said that they were choosing us as one of 4 brands in the entire world to be stocked at their flagship store on Oxford Street in London and online as well. And I just remember feeling like such a fraud. I was like, wait, is this real? Like, here I am, like, had just launched. And there's moments like that. Or recently, Alana Hadid posted about us and shared a review saying she loved our products. Or Sophia Bush posted about us. And
Oh, amazing.
Bloomingdale's just reached out to us in the US. Like, there's all these amazing business moments.
Yeah.
But really, for me, the one I always come back to is our customers and the reviews and how it's genuinely impacting people's lives. I have this reminder at the top of my to-do list on my Notion board that I look at every day, which is like, you are building your dream company, something you're so passionate about, and these are the people that you're doing it for. And it's just quotes from our customers saying like how much it's impacted them. And that for me is like the number one driver. I'm like, these are real people who are
Yeah.
having real experiences and really positive, beautiful experiences with our products where I'm like, that's a pinch me moment.
That is truly a pinch me moment.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah,
It's really
absolutely.
rewarding.
What has been some taboo that you've been working against during this time that you've been scaling libido?
The taboos in this space are endless. I think when I initially started Libido, I thought it would be getting our customers and our community on board and really trying to break through the stigma associated with pleasure and intimacy. But really, that was the easier part, as in people were really responsive to it from the get go. The biggest challenges have actually been the platforms and retailers that I've had to work with. So even like the payment processing from the beginning, I
That to
couldn't
me is
even get
wild.
Afterpay or PayPal on board. I actually had some charities turn us down because they didn't want to be associated with the sexual wellness brand. So it's
What?
like, yeah, which is kind of
I remember getting
insane.
flagged for Stripe.
Stripe as well, yes. Yeah, so there's a lot of barriers. I think the biggest one is the advertising restrictions placed on the
Mm,
sexual wellness category. There's this blanket rule across just adult content, and that's across like Meta and TikTok and Pinterest and Google, especially Google in the US is even more strict than Australia.
yeah.
But yeah, TikTok and Pinterest, so many of our content gets either banned or taken down or shadow banned. And it just means it's so much harder to reach your potential customers in ways that other brands rely on.
And it deepens the taboo as well.
It does. It's exactly. And it's really frustrating because it's forced us to be more creative, but it really limits our ability to scale at a pace that maybe some other brands can. And so, I mean, someone has to be the first. And like, I guess I'm just realizing, like, even though so much has evolved in this space over the last few years, even since I launched 5 years ago, and there are more brands and we're making waves in breaking down these stigmas, we still have so far to go.
Yeah.
And like seeing these platforms still like restrict you and model agencies even saying we don't want to work with you because we just have a blanket rule against sexual wellness.
Wait,
It's challenging.
I know a lot, and this is
Yeah.
really surprising to me. I mean, for those who don't know, Meta allows advertisements and just organic content around penises and, erectile dysfunction products and, all the things. But when it comes to even just pelvic pain or saying the word clitoris, anything that is anatomically correct, it's a real big issue with the double standards that we experience.
Absolutely, definitely. I mean, even sometimes just saying the word pleasure or yeah,
Exactly.
orgasm gets flagged and TikTok is much stricter. We can't advertise on TikTok or Pinterest. It's yeah, it's really challenging.
Yeah. Well, I will say, full disclosure, when I often talk about men and women, it's not that I don't want to recognize that there are people with vulvas and people with penises that don't identify as male or female, but it is very much because using these words get
Flagged.
flagged on social
100%.
media. And so it just becomes a way for me to protect myself from that.
Definitely. Yes, I've definitely noticed that as
Yeah.
well.
And so today you work with your husband, Josh.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, I think there's a huge benefit in working together where, obviously you trust each other immensely, but at the same time, that can also be hard for you to create the boundary between work and personal life and erotic life. So how do you guys protect your sexual connection?
So many people around me are like, this is my absolute nightmare to work with my partner, as in to not have that separation. But for Josh and I, it's been something we've had to be super intentional about. And so Josh joined the business a few years ago, so a couple years into me launching. And I did have my hesitations at the time because I was like, how are we going to keep things separate when our whole life is intertwined? But there's a few things we do. So the first is we have really distinct roles within the business, which definitely helps. So he runs more of the operation finance side of the business, and I am more marketing, creative led brand building. But even in saying that, we are the only two full-time employees. So the lines get blurred
Right.
very quickly and we're across everything. But we really are so focused on keeping things fun and interesting. That's something we really make sure we're intentional about. I mean, we moved to New York together. Life is full of fun here. We love
Yes.
going to a good wine bar. We love just spending time out and about. We did a pottery course together
Oh,
recently.
I love
And so
that.
just keeping things more fun, and also I need a lot of my alone time. And so just making sure like outside of work that I separate myself from Josh as well. Esther
Yeah.
Perel talks about this. She's like, in order to create novelty and mystery, you need to have some separation and you need to be able to look at your partner as the other. And so, yeah, we make sure there's like separateness there, but we also just find each other really attractive and we're really great at like sharing that with each other. I was wearing a G-string last night while I was cooking and he was just like, you look so hot. And like just
Oh,
little
no, I
comments like
love
that. And like,
that.
it's just like, yeah, I think the way we communicate with each other, we've also just been through so much together. He's
Yeah.
seen me lose both my parents in the 10 years of our relationship. And so there's a depth there that can only be formed
Mhm.
from life experiences together. And there's so much respect there for each other. Like he's seen me at my absolute lowest. And so our communication has been amazing, something we've both really worked on over the years of being together. And it's just something we prioritize. We make sure we don't always get it right. I mean, right now, I've been really open and honest with him about being pregnant and my libido fluctuating and
Right.
being like, this is just the phase of life that we're in, and we can still make time for connection in ways. It might not be as consistent as we have been in the past, but it's not about you. It's
Of course.
hormones and the grief layered in. And, becoming a mum without my mum right now is really difficult. And just having that layer of grief amongst the joy just complicates everything, really. My pregnancy experience has really humbled me with my pelvic
Oh,
floor. I
yes.
sneezed the other day and I peed and I was like, I need to work on this. I'm like, if anyone has a pelvic floor recommendation, I am all ears. But yeah, I was like, I thought I had a strong pelvic floor, but we need some work.
Yes, and that is something that we're not taught, and
Yes.
so it is certainly, it behooves you to work with a specialist and to help you understand. Also, oftentimes we're taught that we should be doing Kegels, and then we don't realize that we might be doing our Kegels wrong, and so when
Yes.
you do work with a pelvic floor physical therapist, they're gonna be able to tell you, if you're doing it correctly or not and help you adjust.
Yes. I have my mum's voice in my head because when I first started driving when I was younger, she would tell me every time I'm at a red light, I need to start doing my pelvic floor exercises. She's like, you're at the red light, you just got to start like clenching your back and just strengthening. And so I didn't keep it up too much, but I should have.
Yeah,
Like,
and when you do the Kegels correctly, you end up experiencing better orgasms, stronger orgasms. There's so many benefits to that, and we didn't cover this
I can
yet,
get around that.
but yes, but the benefits to having orgasms is, I mean, it boosts your immunity, it makes you look and feel younger and more alive and more connected to your body, it improves your sleep.
Betters your relationship as well because you know what feels good for you so you can better communicate that to a partner. For menstrual
Absolutely.
cramps as well, oh my God, I get really heavy, painful periods. And when I orgasm on my period, it just like the pain release that happens. I'm not sure exactly what's going on
It does.
in your body, but I
It
just
soothes
noticed,
pain.
oh my God, it is a real game changer.
Yeah. So I like to joke that an orgasm a day keeps the doctor away.
Yes. I am all on board that. I might make that our slogan now.
Yes.
I always thought it was like an apple a day. And now I'm like, nope, it's an orgasm a day.
Well, on that note, Rachel, it was such a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for sharing your story and the story of Libido, which is just like such an incredible brand.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been such a joy speaking to you. And yeah, really appreciate the opportunity.
For anybody who is curious about learning more and building your own self-pleasure and partnered sex rituals, you can go to libido.com. That is spelled LBDO.com. And you can use code LUST15 for 15% off. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Less Than Translation. If you enjoyed this, please hit follow wherever you listen and leave a review. It helps more people find us and it means everything. See you next week.